Welcome to Winning English, helping your English shine through the use of idioms, slang, and cultural references. Today, idioms and vocabulary from science fiction and technology. Before I get too far, I want to remind you to please hit that subscribe button below. Look for great content each week. Thanks. Hi, everyone. I really enjoy science fiction. That is, made-up stories that involve science and technology. So I thought I'd talk about some idioms and vocabulary from that genre of stories today. Wait, you know what? There, that's better. To start with vocabulary, let me first talk about the prefix cyber. Like many parts of the English language, it comes from Greek. It means something like to control or to steer. It first got applied to technology in a famous 1948 book by mathematician Norbert Wiener called Cybernetics. In that book, he discussed machines that could regulate themselves. Nowadays, cyber refers to anything having to do with computers or information technology. I'm sure you've heard cyber used in many words. Cyberspace is another word for the internet. Militaries today prepare for cyber warfare. At one time, before smartphones, people went to a cyber cafe to use the internet. In science fiction, we often see cyborgs. That's a shortened word for cybernetic organism. A cyborg is a regular living person who has been enhanced through technological implants. In science fiction, we also see totally artificial people, which are called androids or robots. In a previous episode, I mentioned the superhero movie Justice League, in which there's a character named Cyborg. In the Avengers superhero movies, there's an android named Vision. Note here the pronunciation of robot. Robot, like the Thai baht currency, even though it has two O's in it. Science fiction and technology have led to many English idioms and sayings, too. One example is living in a parallel universe. In science fiction, a parallel universe is a world that is very similar to ours, but we can never travel there. Think of parallel lines from geometry. Parallel lines run right next to one another, but never touch. We use the phrase living in a parallel universe when we strongly disagree with someone. We think the person is crazy or out of touch with reality. You and the person can never see eye to eye. You might say about a coworker or acquaintance, I think he's a smart guy, but he's living in a parallel universe. This saying is used to criticize people, so be careful with it. An opposite idiom is to be on the same wavelength. All kinds of radiation have a wavelength. Some wavelengths make the light we see. Others cook our food in microwave ovens. Two-way radios, which can send and receive messages, also use wavelengths. However, you must be on the same wavelength or channel to talk with someone. In a sense, your wavelengths must agree with one another, so the phrase, to be on the same wavelength, has come to mean that you agree with someone and see the world the same way she does. Finally, I have one more saying, it's not rocket science. Sometimes tasks or projects are very hard. Others are very simple. But sometimes people make easy projects seem hard. Maybe they lack the necessary skills. Maybe they're trying to make their project look more important than it really is. If you want to criticize someone for making an easy project seem hard, you might say, it's not rocket science. This idiom might be easy to understand. Sending rockets into space is a very hard thing to do, of course. So if something is not rocket science, it's pretty easy. Again, we say this when we want to criticize someone, so be careful with this saying. Thanks for being part of Winning English. Do you want more examples of science and technology idioms? I've got links to 2 articles in the newsletter. Also in the newsletter, I talk about an episode of the TV show Star Trek called Darmok. In that episode, the humans and aliens can't communicate. The humans can translate the words, but they can't understand what the aliens are saying because they speak completely in idioms and cultural references. Maybe I'm making this newsletter and video for future aliens too. Please like this episode and share it with friends and family. Also, make sure to follow Winning English on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. If you really like Winning English, please consider donating through my Patreon page. I offer this free of charge, so I rely directly on support from readers like you. Thanks, and talk soon.